Sanity is not a right, it is a fortress. And right now your fortress is under siege. You are not here because you are confused. You are not here because you are sensitive. You are here because you have felt the ground beneath your feet turn into liquid. You look at the sky and you see blue, but a voice in your ear, a voice you trusted, perhaps loved, whispers that the sky is red. And for a fraction of a second, you believe them. That hesitation, that microscopic fracture in your conviction is where your soul begins to bleed out. Stop looking for comfort. Stop looking for validation. Validation is for children who need their mothers to tell them the nightmare isn't real. I am not here to tell you the nightmare isn't real. I am here to tell you that the nightmare is strategy. What you are experiencing, this fog, this heaviness in your chest, this constant, maddening loop of self-interrogation, is not insanity. It is psychological annexation. Someone else is attempting to colonize your reality. They are erasing the borders of your perception so they can expand the territory of their control. Society, in its infinite, mediocre wisdom, calls this toxic behavior. They tell you to communicate. They tell you to set boundaries with a smile. They hand you the tools of a diplomat. When you are standing in the middle of a kill zone, throw them away. You cannot negotiate with a parasite. You cannot reason with a tumor. You must understand the brutal architecture of what is happening to you. You have been living under a delusion. Not the delusion that you are crazy, but the delusion that you are safe. The delusion that if you are kind enough, compliant enough, and understanding enough, the world will treat you with reciprocity. Look at your wounds. That is your answer. This pain you feel, the burning shame of being manipulated, the humiliation of apologizing for things you did not do. Good. Feel it. Let it burn away the weakness. This is your baptism. Most people go through life asleep. They graze in the pasture, unaware of the wolves circling the perimeter. You have been bitten, and now you are awake. The poison is in your veins, but it will not kill you. It will immunize you. But first, we must perform surgery on your worldview. You have been infected with a disease called the nice guy syndrome, or perhaps the good girl curse. It is the belief that your virtue is your shield. You believe that your empathy is a superpower. It is not. Unchecked empathy is not a gift. It is an open wound. It is a pheromone that signals to every predator within a 10-mile radius that you are ready to be harvested. You believe you are being moral. The Machiavellian reality is that you are being efficiently digested. Gaslighting does not work on the arrogant. It does not work on the narcissist. It works on you, specifically because you possess the traits society praises. You are introspective. You are willing to admit fault. You care about the truth. The manipulator weaponizes your best qualities against you. They take your willingness to look inward, and they turn it into a prison. Every time you ask yourself, am I the problem? You hand them another brick to build the wall around your mind. You must understand the mechanics of this theft. Reality is the most valuable currency on earth. He who defines reality owns the room. He who owns the room owns the people in it. When a manipulator gaslights you, they are not simply lying to avoid trouble. That is petty theft. Gaslighting is grand larceny. They are stealing your trust in your own senses. Why? Because once you no longer trust your eyes, you must borrow theirs. Once you no longer trust your memory, you must rely on their history. You become a satellite orbiting their gravity. You cease to be an autonomous entity. You become an extension of their will. This is not accidental. This is not a mistake in their character. It is a calculated erosion of your sovereignty. The ancient strategists knew this. In war, you do not always attack the enemy's body. You attack their supply lines. You cut off their water. In psychological warfare, your water is your certainty, your connection to the truth. By disrupting that connection, they force you to drink from their poisoned well. But here is the turning point. Here is where we flip the board. The fact that you are listening to this, the fact that you are listening to this, the fact that you are listening to this means the process failed. The annexation was not completed. There is a spark of defiance left in the ash. A part of you, the observer, the silent king within, knows that the sky is blue. That part of you is furious. That part of you wants blood. Do not suppress that anger. That anger is the only honest thing you have felt in months. Social conditioning tells you to forgive. It tells you to be the bigger person. It tells you that anger is toxic. That is the advice of sheep teaching other sheep how to die quietly. Machiavelli asked, "Is it better to be loved or feared?" You have tried to be loved. You have twisted yourself into knots to be good. And look where it got you. Broken, confused, questioning your own name. It is time to be feared, not through violence, not through shouting, but through the terrifying clarity of a mind that can no longer be clouded. This video is not a tutorial on how to cope. We do not cope. We conquer. We are going to dismantle the machinery of gaslighting gear by gear. We are going to identify the 7 signs, not as victims pointing out where it hurts, but as mechanics studying a broken engine. You are going to stop asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" And you are going to start asking, "What is the strategic leverage of this move, and how do I break it?" The era of your innocence ends today. You are walking into the dark to find your power. You are going to reclaim your reality, not by asking for it back, but by taking it. The baptism is complete. The water has turned to ice. Now, we perform the anatomy. Let us dissect the corpse of your previous reality. To defeat the predator, you must think like the predator. You must strip away the sentimental morality that blinds you and look at the bare mechanics of human interaction. The brutal truth of the world is defined by one word: leverage. In every interaction between 2 human beings, there is a frame. Think of the frame as a camera lens. Whoever holds the camera decides what is seen and what is left in the darkness. The gaslighter's entire strategy is based on frame control. They do not care about facts. They care about who is holding the camera. You, the nice person, the empath. You enter the room believing that the frame is shared. You believe that truth is objective. You believe that if you explain your feelings clearly enough, they will be understood. This is your fatal error. To the Machiavellian manipulator, your desire for understanding is a weakness. It is a vulnerability in your armor. While you are trying to build a bridge, they are planting explosives. Let us examine the weapons they use. We will analyze the first 3 signs of this psychological siege, and for each, I will give you the blade to cut it open. Sign number 1, the revisionist history. This is the most common and blunt instrument. You know what happened. You remember the words. You remember the tone. But when you confront them, they look you in the eye with the calmness of a sociopath and say, "That never happened," or "I never said that." They deny objective reality with such absolute conviction that you begin to check your own sanity. They rely on the fact that your memory is fluid, but their lie is concrete. Here is the Machiavellian counter-tactic, the digital ledger. Do not argue. Do not try to convince them of the past. The past is gone. Instead, you become a historian of the present. When they speak, you record. Not always with a device, but with consequences. You stop relying on memory. You rely on evidence. When they say, "I never said that," you do not fight. You simply disengage. You look at them with a look of clinical detachment. A look that says, "I know you are lying, and your lie bores me." You treat their denial not as a topic for debate, but as a symptom of their inferiority. You withdraw your attention immediately. Punishment must follow the lie instantly. Sign number 2, the trivialization of trauma. You express hurt. You express a valid grievance, and their response is not an apology. It is a label. You are too sensitive. You can't take a joke. You are making a big deal out of nothing. Understand what is happening here. This is a frame shift. They are taking the camera off of their bad behavior and pointing it at your reaction. Suddenly, the problem is not that they insulted you. The problem is that you are too weak to handle it. They are pathologizing your emotions. They are making your pain the villain. The counter-tactic, the agreement amplification. This is derived from the principles of judo. Use their momentum against them. When they call you sensitive, do not deny it. Do not defend yourself. If you defend, you lose. You have accepted their frame. Instead, you lean into it. You say, "Yes, I am sensitive to disrespect, and because I am sensitive to it, I will not tolerate it." You say it without anger. You say it without tears. You say it as a statement of fact. You validate the very thing they tried to use as an insult. By accepting the label, you strip it of its power. You turn sensitivity into standards. You look at them, and you let the silence stretch until it becomes uncomfortable. You force them to sit in the reality of your boundary. Sign number 3. The phantom third party. This is triangulation. The predator knows that, one-on-one, you might be strong, so they bring in reinforcements. Even your mother thinks you're acting crazy. All my friends think I treat you like a queen. Everyone else agrees with me. They invoke the invisible army. They surround you with phantom enemies to make you feel isolated. Humans are social animals. We fear exile. The predator hacks this biological fear to make you submit. They want you to feel that the tribe has rejected you. The Machiavellian counter-tactic, the 0-point isolation. You must treat these invisible others as non-existent. Unless these people are in the room, they do not have a vote. You look the manipulator in the eye and you say, I am not speaking to them. I am speaking to you. You cut the connection to the external world. You refuse to be drawn into the imaginary court of public opinion. You drag the conversation back to the immediate dynamic. You become the singularity. You disregard the social proof they are trying to manufacture. By refusing to acknowledge the phantom army, you leave the manipulator standing alone. And a manipulator alone is a manipulator terrified. These are the first layers of the anatomy. They rely on your need for social cohesion. They rely on your fear of conflict. But you are learning. You are seeing the strings on the puppet. You are beginning to realize that the nice guy was just a role you were forced to play. The nice guy seeks consensus. The sovereign seeks leverage. We are not done. The anatomy goes deeper. The trap is more complex. But now you have the scalpel in your hand. Prepare yourself. The strategy follows. We descend further. The deeper you go into the rabbit hole, the darker the tactics become. The amateur manipulator lies about the past. The master manipulator lies about who you are. Sign number 4, the projection. This is the hall of mirrors. The cheater accuses you of being unfaithful. The liar accuses you of being deceitful. The narcissist accuses you of being selfish. It is disorienting by design. They take their own toxic shame, their own rot, and they vomit it onto you. You scramble to defend yourself. You offer your phone, your passwords, your soul, just to prove you are innocent. Stop. Every second you spend defending yourself against a false accusation is a second they have successfully distracted you from their crime. The counter-tactic, the mirror breaker. You do not defend. In the court of Machiavelli, defense is an admission of lower status. When they accuse you of their own sins, you simply observe. You detach. You realize that their accusation is actually a confession. You look at them and say, that is an interesting theory. And then you move on. You treat their accusation like a child's fantasy. You do not offer evidence. You do not get angry. You treat their words as noise. You refuse to accept the baggage they are trying to hand you. Sign number 5, the shifting goalposts. You try to meet their demands. They say, if you just did more chores, I wouldn't be angry. So you do the chores. Then they say, you didn't do them right, or why didn't you cook? The rules of the game change every time you are about to score. This is designed to induce exhaustion. They want you running on a treadmill, sweating, bleeding, trying to reach a destination that they are constantly moving further away. The counter-tactic, the game stop. The only way to win a rigged game is to flip the table. When the goalpost moves, you stop running. You stand still. You invoke the law of least effort. You realize that good enough will never be enough for them. So you stop trying to be good. You withdraw your labor. You withdraw your effort. You let the plates fall. You let the disappointment happen. You realize that their disappointment is not your burden. It is their weapon, and you are no longer holding the handle. Sign number 6, the compassionate mask. This is the most dangerous sign. This is why you stay. Just when you are ready to leave, they become the person you fell in love with. They buy you gifts. They offer praise. They show a glimmer of the potential you have been worshipping. This is intermittent reinforcement. It is how you train a dog. It is how casinos keep you gambling. They give you a small win to keep you losing in the long run. The counter-tactic, the cynical audit. You must become an accountant of behavior. Words are cheap. Tears are cheap. Action is the only currency. When they are sweet, you do not melt. You audit. You ask yourself, does this align with the last 6 months of data? If the data shows a predator, a moment of kindness is just camouflage. You accept the gift, but you do not sell your soul for it. You remain cold. You remain skeptical. Sign number 7, the withholding. They punish you by withdrawing affection. They give you the cold shoulder. They treat you like a ghost in your own home. They want you to beg for their attention. They want to starve you until you eat crumbs from their hand. The counter tactic, the abundance mindset. They think their attention is oxygen. Prove them wrong. When they withdraw, you expand. You go out. You pursue your hobbies. You laugh with others. You show them that your ecosystem thrives without their sun. You do not beg. You do not chase. You let the silence stretch until it chokes them. Now, the surgery is complete. We have identified the disease. Now, we build the immune system. We move from defense to offense. You are no longer a victim trying to survive. You are a strategist plotting a coup. To reclaim your mind, you must enter a new state of being. We call this the ghost phase. This is not about leaving. Not yet. This is about becoming unknowable while remaining in plain sight. Step 1. Radical autonomy. You must sever the umbilical cord. You have been looking to them for permission to exist, permission to feel, permission to be happy. Grant yourself that permission. Strategically, you must become a separate nation state. You do not ask. You inform. You do not explain. You act. You cultivate a secret garden in your mind that they cannot touch. New books, new ideas, new plans. You stop sharing your inner world with the enemy. Information is leverage, and you have given them too much. Now, you starve them of data. You become a black box. They input stimuli, but they get no output. They cannot manipulate what they cannot understand. Step 2. Weaponized silence. In the past, your silence was submission. Now, your silence is a weapon. When they bait you, you offer silence. When they lie, you offer silence. When they try to provoke a reaction, you offer a void. Silence creates a vacuum. Human beings are terrified of vacuums. They will rush to fill it. They will overtalk. They will reveal their hand. They will expose their insecurity. Your silence is a mirror. It forces them to look at themselves because you are no longer reflecting what they want to see. You are no longer the nice guy soothing their ego. You are the abyss staring back. Step 3. The observation deck. You stop participating in the drama. You step back and you watch it like a movie. You become a scientist observing a lab rat. When they scream, you think, a dominance display. Fascinating. When they gaslight, you think, attempting reality distortion. Failed. By turning your pain into curiosity, you detach. You stop bleeding. You start calculating. You are no longer in the storm. You are watching the storm from a high tower, safe, dry, and armed. This is the beginning of your power. You are not fighting them anymore. You are outgrowing them. You are becoming sovereign. The final transformation awaits. The war is over. Not because they surrendered, but because you left the battlefield. You have won the most important victory of your life. You have conquered the territory between your ears. Understand this. Sovereignty is not about controlling others. That is the weak man's definition of power. Sovereignty is the absolute, unshakable command over your own internal kingdom. It is the state where your reality is no longer a democracy. It is a dictatorship. And you are the dictator. No one gets to vote on your truth anymore. No one gets to veto your perception. When you reach this state, the gaslighter becomes powerless. They are like a magician trying to perform tricks for someone who knows how the trick works. It becomes pathetic. It becomes boring. You look at them not with fear, not with anger, but with a mild, distant pity. You see them for what they are: small, broken, terrified children wearing the masks of giants. They need to control you because they cannot control themselves. They need to steal your light because they have none of their own. But you are the generator. The nice guy is dead. He was a sacrifice necessary for your evolution. In his place stands the architect. The architect does not seek validation. He builds it. The architect does not beg for respect. He commands it through competence and boundaries. The architect does not fear the darkness. He uses it as contrast to create his art. You have walked through the fire. You have been baptized by betrayal. You have dissected the anatomy of the lie. You have executed the strategy of the ghost. Now, you simply exist. And there is a terrible, beautiful power in that existence. When you no longer need them, you become dangerous. When you can walk away at any moment without looking back, you become irresistible. This is the paradox of power. The moment you stop chasing, you attract. The moment you stop fearing loss, you gain everything. Walk forward, not as a victim who survived, but as a predator who learned. The world is full of wolves. Do not hate them, understand them, outmaneuver them, and never, ever let them into your fortress again. The gate is closed. The king is on the throne. Long live the king.